You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean. Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, and streaming live on Ustream, this is AfterBuzz TV for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest Real Housewives news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, picking up where the show leaves off and the buzz continues, it's AfterBuzz TV for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Hello, everyone. Mari Fagel here, and sorry about our late start, but it is Thanksgiving week is here, and it's a crazy time, I'm sure, for everyone. But last night's episode was incredible. So me and my favorite co-host didn't want to miss it. I have Miss Jackie Miranne and DJ Jesse Janity joining me. How are you guys tonight?
What up?
I'm doing great. It's Thanksgiving week, and that always puts me in a good mood.
I'm ready to eat.
And last night's episode put me in a good mood because I think last night was one of my favorites. Let me explain why. I think last night was the perfect mix of drama and comedy, because I don't like episodes. I mean, obviously I like the super crazy dramatic episodes, but sometimes they're a little much for me. Last week was intense, but a little much. And then, you know, the filler episodes where not much substantial goes on are always, you know, kind of annoying. But last night was like the perfect mix of drama and comedy, because for every Taylor and Camille fight, Taylor and Russell fight, you had crazy Kim, crazy Dana, crazy Brandy, and, you know, you just had funny moments mixed with the dramatic. Do you guys agree?
Absolutely, and I hate to say it, girls, but I told you so. I knew this week was going to be so much better. They completed a full-out story. I was actually really surprised how long we stayed at that party. But yeah, I loved it. They gave me a conclusion to last week that'll still carry on throughout the season as we see. Got our comedy. We had our Dana back. So, you know, I know you girls were excited. And yeah, well, I'll save the rest for the rest of the conversation. But go ahead.
Well, I know there's like so much to say. What I think was so great about last night's episode is there was so much going on. Like you said, Mari, it was funny. I didn't realize how much I missed Dana and Brandy until I saw them back in this episode, because we really hadn't seen them for a couple of episodes. And I like the mix of it not being so one topic heavy, where last week there was so much to write down as I was taking notes, but it was all centered around one event. This was one event, but there was Kim Brandy, Kyle Kim, you know, even Adrienne starting something with Lisa. You know, there were so many different storylines. The Taylor Russell thing continues. So there was so much to go to that if you didn't love one thing, you got hit in the head with the next thing. And it was funny, you're right, then dramatic, then, you know, catty. You know, there was so much to entertain you in good ways, bad ways, dramatic ways. So I totally agree. I do think this was actually the best episode of the season so far.
Well, I'm glad we all agree about that one. And because there were so many funny moments, I want to devote an entire segment to our favorites, because there were so many I don't know if I can choose. But before we get into the comedy, let's get into the drama and pick up where the episode began. Because, Jesse, you were saying it kind of wrapped up last week's storyline. I was shocked by how little of last week's storyline carried over. And the preview seemed to make it seem like whatever Camille was saying in that room was going to be really dramatic and was going to really continue. The brunt of what she said we saw last week. I mean, she said the same thing, and then she just got up and left. she said, you come over, you don't have any signs of physical abuse, you tell us he hits you, but then we're supposed to like him and you need to be honest. And, she walks out because she's upset with the inconsistencies. But that was it. I mean, I thought there was going to be a lot more of Camille and a lot more of the showdown. I mean, that whole fight basically just ended with some fake juvenile makeup between Lisa and Taylor, which I'm glad that Kyle was sitting there like, what is going on? This is so fake. And they're like, oh, it's resolved. But I was shocked by how little of the tea party actually continued into this episode. They built it up so much, to me it wasn't really that much.
I definitely agree with you. The whole, oh my God, the Lisa and Lisa and Taylor making up was ridiculous to me. It was like, and I'm gonna give it to Kyle for that. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what? What do you mean it's resolved? You guys didn't even say anything. You didn't even talk. Now you're mad at Camille. It's like Taylor's very immature, and you saw it throughout this episode, and I don't know. It's just really funny to me. Her personality is really funny to me. It was like, because now you're in the moment upset with Camille, you can't handle being mad at two people, so you just kind of forgive Lisa and reach out and say, okay, you know what? Yeah, it's all good. Well, no, you haven't really had a full out conversation, so. That was like, what? Kyle walking away from that, I think she was so stunned, so I won't go there this week and say she was over dramatic. But I think she was just so stunned, and that's what she was talking to her friend about, because I didn't realize that her friend had also, Taylor had also gone to her and told her about the marriage at all either. And as far as Camille, the only thing that I was upset with Camille's situation, I really wanted her to show up at the party. Other than that, yeah, the beginning of the episode was kind of like a whirlwind of what the heck?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, my thing is with this whole scene, you're right, Mari and Jesse, where it wrapped up all of a sudden. That's it. I mean, you almost were led to believe, like you said, Jesse, like this was really going to be the episode where they really get into it, like it was just getting started, and just like that, it was over. But my thing, it really shows me when I watch these scenes centered around Taylor, and this whole show ended up being centered around Taylor, I don't take to Taylor very well at all. Tragedy, no tragedy, I don't get her. I think she's full of crap. I'm sorry, because I know she went through something. I don't even know if she cares, because I don't get her. I feel like there's no depth to her. She was so dramatic with her popularity. I feel like the girl trying to be friends with the popular girl. They bring up abuse and her marriage, and she's pinky swearing with Lisa. I don't get Taylor, and I don't really like her. I'm sorry, I said it. That's how I really feel.
Yeah, no, that scene bothered me because it's like Camille just brings up in front of everyone and in front of a whole television audience, which we're going to talk about this, that she was abused. And she doesn't say anything about that, and she's like crying about this popularity contest between her and Lisa. It's like, that's what you're focusing on right now, not on the abuse? Like, you're not, it just seems so superficial, and I don't know. It's like I used to like Taylor, and I just kind of, she seems too fake for me.
I mean, of course my opinions change week to week with these ladies, so I'm not going to hold to anything. But this week made me really just question her depth in anything, in all of her relationships in her life. And I don't like people that don't, like, have a realness or a depth to their values, their relationships. I don't sense anything that's telling me otherwise from her. And, you know, it goes on with the party, obviously, which I know we're going to get to.
And there's just no stability there. And that's kind of exactly like you said, Jackie. You don't like people like that. I don't either. I don't like there not being stability. It's like you don't even know who you are. So how can I actually even have a friendship with you? How can I base a relationship on somebody who doesn't fully understand their relationship with their husband, their relationship with other human beings? she's so unstable that I don't know. It was just really frustrating to me listening to her, like you said, complain about Lisa and the things that Lisa was doing, and everybody else is doing all this stuff, not looking at it and not listening to what anyone else is saying. Camille clearly said to you, "You're telling us this. This is what you are saying to us, so let's talk about it." And she didn't say anything. She had no rebuttal to that. You know, this was the time to do that. You want everybody to be on your team. You want them to help you. Open up, talk about it. Not just keep pointing the finger, and that's all she did. She just kept pointing the finger at Lisa until Lisa broke and was like, "Oh my God, like the girl's crazy. I need to be friends with her. I feel bad for her." So, what were we going to say?
I was just going to say, the thing is, though, regardless of how we feel about Taylor and how crazy she is, I still don't think it was right for Camille to air her dirty laundry in front of millions of viewers. And I mean, all the Real Housewives have dirty laundry that's aired, weekly. But to talk about abuse, breaking her jaw, all of that, she could have done that privately. And that's the one thing I actually agree with Taylor on, is she said to Kyle at the birthday party, he said, "I probably shouldn't have shared private information with her, but she shouldn't have blurted it out." And I kind of agree with that. She could have done it privately. I don't know. I mean, even Camille was kind of confronted by Adrienne and Kyle at lunch, and she said, "It's like the elephant in the room that we can't talk about." She claimed she didn't feel she wasn't exposing something we didn't all already know. While all the housewives may have known it, none of us, hundreds, thousands, millions of viewers knew it, and so I don't think it was right for her to talk about the abuse like that. I know.
Mari, I agree with you. Last week
I'm shocked you agree with me. I thought.
Well, no, because
sure
listen, and I'm going to explain why. Because last week I was siding with Camille, and I still side with Camille because, unfortunately, yeah, it was wrong of her to do, but I just think when it comes down to what the most important thing is, it's helping Taylor, and sometimes you have to push boundaries. However, I do think, and listening to Camille at lunch talking, I was like, you know what? I understand where Mari was coming from with this. You can't sit there, Camille said, this is something we all knew about. I wasn't putting new information out. No, honey, like, you clearly know that there are cameras surrounding you that weren't there when she did tell you that secret. So now, yes, you have spread a rumor. You're just as bad if Lisa was to have said whatever to whatever newspaper. You're just as bad as that because now the cameras saw it. Now it's on TV. Now, at the same time, we watched shows like Intervention, and they have to do things like this. And if this is really that bad, if Taylor is really making such a big deal out of this, and I'll say tonight was the first night that I admit Taylor and Russell awkward. This was the first episode where I've fully been like, okay, what? This is creeping me out. We're going to find out about it anyways. And I don't think Taylor's thinking this, but in the end, I think Taylor will be thanking Camille because it is something that it hurts right now, but it needs to come off your chest. Things like the anorexic thing with Lisa. I know I've always said, she just says it at the wrong time. No, you don't do it at a party. The only thing I'll give Camille is that this was with all of the girls. All of the girls were right there. It's not like Brandy was there. It's not like Dana, you know what I mean? Even Dana was there. It was like the girls who she goes and confides in. Now, the cameras, that's where I do agree with you, Mari. That was very inappropriate at that moment. But I don't know, Jackie, what do you think about weighing it out? Which is the heavier cause?
It's because I think I sound like a robot now. Can you guys hear me?
Hey, Jackie, you're kind of cutting out.
Why don't I'll pick up where she left off and she can call back in. But I was surprised you agree with me. But I don't think Camille should have done that because there's a difference between the wives all knowing about it, and maybe women in Beverly Hills, rumors talking about it, and having millions of viewers find out about it. And with two unstable people like that, Russell's unstable, Taylor's unstable, they don't need that. They should have a spotlight on them, period. Whatever. But they signed up for this show. Look what happened. But I'm just saying she didn't need to bring the abuse up. Lisa bringing up the anorexia, that all of us can plain see that. But the abuse, I think, she didn't need, like, the fight wasn't going in that direction. I don't know. I just didn't think she needed to bring that up.
All right, Jackie's on the line.
You know, guys, I'm back, and the one thing I want to say about that is what is possible that I actually thought about, because the thing that I thought was most interesting about this episode when we got to the lunch with Kyle and Adrienne is that they didn't have a problem with Camille saying it. And here's what I thought might possibly happen, knowing how production goes. You don't even realize as a viewer how many scenes get filmed that we don't see. And it's quite possible that Taylor did admit this to Camille on camera in the past, and we just never saw it. And I was wondering if maybe that happened.
Ooh.
Because I was just very surprised that none of the other women saw a problem with Camille doing it. So I thought that might have been the case. I'm very curious to know if I'm right. Other than that, I don't think. Listen, I think the moral of the story is Taylor's someone who should not be on TV. Period. Look what happened. They're two crazy individuals. We watch them. It's creepy. It's weird. You know, she should take a step back and look at this and what this show is doing to her life. And, you know, that's what I really look at with this. But I'd be very interested to see if I'm right about that Camille Taylor thing, because if you guys noticed, none of the other housewives had a problem with it.
I did think that was weird, actually. Just because if I was in that group of friends, I'd be like, no, sweetie, like that was, especially like Kyle. You know, Kyle like almost was like, she thought it was wrong to a point, but then she was kind of like, well, you know, like I don't know what to feel. Like she tells me she gets hit and I never see a bruise. I never see anything. And it was Kyle's friend. What is her friend's name that she was talking to?
Faye Resnick.
Faye, you know, for Faye to come out and talk about the abusing and how, you know, the husband, you know, just how it works with like the husband being nice after and wanting to prove himself so much. You know, Kyle's sitting there thinking, and, you know, that's again where I say, Mari, like, what is the bigger cause? So if that is the case, because I did wonder why none of the other girls were like Camille, whoop, cover your mouth, like, there's cameras here. That's a very good observation, Jackie.
And now, Jesse, you were mentioning that seeing Russell and Taylor on screen in last night's episode was really uncomfortable and awkward, which for me, like I was saying how last week when I saw Russell again for the second time on television, I was more comfortable with it. At first it was awkward, and then I got more comfortable with it. Last night it was just like I was watching. It made me really uncomfortable when he was at the party and he said to Dana, "Oh, Dana, just relax." And I think Dana actually had a very astute observation. Normally her observations are like, "Let's go on a journey," or like, "You go, girl," like, you know, she like that. But I thought she had a very astute observation, and she said it seemed like he cared more about taking this family photo because he wanted to present the picture of a good dad, of a good family. And I agree with that. It just made me really, really uncomfortable to see him kind of snap at her, because he always seems like this nice guy, this season at least, with a smile on his face. And then you got like a little like spotlight onto that temper of his. And I don't know, seeing him and her smile with Kennedy, like for a picture, thinking this is Kennedy's last birthday with him, this is their last like birthday photo. I just thought the whole thing was very eerie and uncomfortable.
I definitely agree. It was. He seemed very controlling in it, and I didn't like Dana at that point where she made that comment and she just got so upset and stormed off. I thought that was very overdramatic. But it did also point exactly what you just said out. Like, he wanted to go be in that picture. He wanted, everything to go this certain way. And it was almost like, well, she's been doing this the whole day. Like, let her finish it out. Let her give this party. And even then it was awkward to me because it got to the point, well, now this man's singing at 4 o'clock. The girl's not even looking at him singing. And then all of a sudden a horse comes out. Like, it was almost just like, it was very confusing. But, of course, Taylor's going to listen to what Russell wanted to do. And it was just awkward. It was awkward, I think, also on Bravo's behalf because he was talking to her sometimes, and they wouldn't even show him on camera. And it was just his voice, and it was freaking me out because it was like, I don't know, it was just really eerie tone at that party with him.
I know. With so much going on at that party, you feel like it could be masked, but I said this, I believe I said this last week or the week before, and I'll say it again. I just could totally tell that when you think he's being a good guy or you think he's being controlled or whatever, his dark side is just waiting to snap out. That's what I feel like when I watch him. It's like he's boiling inside even when he has a smile on his face. That's what I get from him. Now, I had said, because we know what happened, I don't know if I'm tainted, but I actually unfortunately knew a person that was troubled in a similar way where this does exist, where there's such a fake, phony front to someone who's really just got so much going on. And I think that's just so apparent to me when I watch him. You can see right through it. I always say, when you're on TV, you can't hide anything. And that's why that family photo, even in that one instant of a flash, with them standing there posing and smiling, I felt eeriness, I felt phoniness, I felt it all. And whether it's because we know what happened or not, I can't deny the fact that I saw that and felt it, and I don't like it as a viewer. There's so much other good stuff going on with the other characters. We don't need this.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the other characters. I feel like our entire show so far has been filled up with Taylor because she's so crazy right now. But let's talk about the two other kind of scuffles. One was Brandi and Kim. Brandi, I have to give it to her for trying to break the ice and extend the olive branch. The thing is, I kind of get, normally I would think Kim just totally ignoring her would be so juvenile. But I somewhat understand her logic in that they weren't friends before this happened. Like, if they were friends and then, or, had hung out a couple times at least, and then Brandi made that accusation about the crystal meth, then there would be some reason to try to be friends. But she said that upon the first time meeting her. In any normal circumstance, without cameras there, if upon the first time meeting me, someone had some wild accusation, I would not ever want to be friends with them. And so I kind of understand her ignoring her. It's not like they were friends beforehand. She has no reason to fight for it and to try. So I didn't think her ignoring Brandi was that bad. It came off as juvenile, but I understand it. Jesse,
do you have any thoughts, Jesse?
I'm sorry. Hey, guys, I'm sorry. Jackie, go ahead.
Okay. Well, no, I was just going to say that I actually do agree with you, Mari. I understand Kim's logic when she said it to Dana. Meanwhile, Dana, by the way, is so hilarious. She's like, awkward, like, just so funny. But it was also funny the way they did the editing there, where it was like almost like a showdown was going to go on, and the music gearing up behind Brandi.
My God, I forgot about that. The music, the Western showdown music was ridiculous. That kind of offended me as a viewer, though. It's like dramatic enough without that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was so ridiculous that it made me laugh, like, are they really doing this right now? But as far as the logic goes, you're right. he totally had a decent point, but here's what I thought. I just thought that Kim, typical Kim, came off as immature in presenting that logic. I mean, I think she could have been a little bit more of an adult and said, like, you know, something straight out rather than just like shake her head and say fine or however she did it. I mean, I just didn't like that immaturity, but I do understand she has no reason to have to want to be friends with her. So that I'm fine with. It's just that she's immature anyway, so you would expect that, but I just don't like the immaturity in the way she handled her response.
All right, guys, I'm back. Totally agree with you. Kim aggravated me this episode. It was just like, for Brandy to get up, you know, walk over and make the comment, you know, and then for her to go back over to Kyle and say, like, you know, I really just want to squash this. Like, I'm just done with it. You know, it was stupid of me to say. But at the same time, I do feel like, you know what, Brandy, you should have kind of almost been the bigger person, because you do think it was wrong of you to said that. You see Kim is acting like a child, but then I know there are people out there who don't want to even give that satisfaction of, like, you're acting like a child. I'm not going to bend to your level because we both were wrong. You know, so I get it, but me, on one hand, I would have just walked up to him and been like, hey, Kim, you know, how are you? I hope you're having fun today. You know, I know we have a lot of stuff going on between us. I just want to personally apologize to you. You know, Brandy didn't do that. Maybe they cut that out. You know, she just walked over and said, hi, I just want to talk to you. But the way Kim handled that was, you're at a child's birthday party. You should not be bringing any type of negative drama there. Like, I get it. I totally understand it. But if you're not going to, I don't need to put myself with those types of people, well, then be above that. Say hi. Say hello. I hope your day is going well. You know what I mean? Like, show that you are above that in that case. Like, no, we can't be friends. We can't talk, but how are you? I can be cordial with you because I'm not that type of a person. But clearly you are, Kim. You are that type of a person. You know, so I don't know. That's just where I felt with that.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I don't think that Kim should give her the time of day in terms of being friends. Obviously, like, I don't think Kim has any reason to be friends with Brandy, and I agree with that. But she could have been, you know, been above it and said hello back. There's no reason not to say hello back. Just because you're not going to be friends with someone doesn't mean you can't be cordial. So I actually agree with that. And then the next fight, or I mean, it seems like we're going to be doing this more in our predictions and seeing a lot more of this next week, but at least it was set up. And I don't know where I'm going to stand on this, which is why I have to see next week, because these are two of my favorite characters, and two of the women who I think are usually so above the drama is Lisa and Adrienne. And first of all, I am so over-the-top excited for Lisa Vanderpump to be going to Vegas to Pandora's bachelorette party. So excited. But apparently holding it at Planet Hollywood, who is Lisa's family's friend, apparently, is offensive to Adrienne because she's not holding it at the Palms. I don't know how I feel about this. I was actually talking to some coworkers about this today, and I thought to myself, it doesn't seem like Adrienne would normally be upset about something like this, and so I thought maybe it was user-driven to get Adrienne more into the drama. But then one of my coworkers was saying, and I kind of agree with this, Adrienne is so much of a businesswoman, and her business matters so much. I remember seeing Tom. And so to her, have her friend go to another competitor hotel, and for that hotel to be getting that press and attention, I see that that might be a bad business move. I still don't think that Adrienne has a right to be upset, only because Lisa's actually family friends with the people from Planet Hollywood. If it was Planet Hollywood had some random offer and she took it, I would disagree. But she could be closer friends with people from Planet Hollywood than she is with Adrienne. I mean, she's on a show with Adrienne, and she's her neighbor, but I don't know if they're best friends.
Yeah, it's tricky because it's like, you know, how do I want to explain it? You know, you want to help each other promote everything at the same time, but Now, let me ask you guys this. Because I can't remember, did Lisa reach out to Planet Hollywood, or I thought she said that Planet Hollywood wanted to throw this for her.
Yeah, the Planet Hollywood reached out to her, but they are her family friends.
Right.
So Planet Hollywood reached out to her.
Right. So that's
and said, we'd like to throw this for Pandora.
Yeah, that's not crazy to me. Like, Adrienne, you should have been on top of this, because Lisa did invite you to this extravagant Arabian Night shower. So you should have said, you know what? We have to have the bridal, whatever it is, the bachelorette party in Vegas. We'll on the house, we'll roll out the red carpets. Like, don't say it after the fact, after you know. But we actually have a caller on the line. Caller, what's your name? Where are you from?
Oh, my name is Amber, and I'm calling from Toronto, Canada.
What up, girl?
Listening to your show, I thought I missed it because it was on so late tonight.
No, yeah. Mari was holding us up. No, I'm just kidding.
I was. But so what did you think about last night's episode? First, let's get your opinion on Lisa and Adrienne, and then I want to hear your opinions on the other drama.
All right.
Lisa and Adrienne. Oh, about not holding the party at the Palms?
Yeah.
Well, I thought that Lisa didn't have to say that. Pandora said that the owner of Planet Hollywood had asked her and offered to Pandora to host the party. So, I don't think that Adrienne should be upset without knowing all the facts, because Adrienne obviously didn't offer yet. She wanted Lisa to ask her, but the other person had already offered.
And now, what did you think about Kim and Brandy, and Kim giving Brandy the cold shoulder?
I thought it was funny. I thought that the Western music was hilarious. I don't think that Kim has to be nice to Brandy. They weren't friends before, and it doesn't really matter. And I think Kim is such a non-entity on the show. I don't even understand why she's on it.
Oh, I love Kim. We at AfterBuzz love Kim, so I would be so upset if she was not on the show. Jackie, back me up here.
Well, I don't know if you guys talked about this because I missed the beginning of your show because I was putting my daughter to bed, but when she said, I'm like an Arabian horse, how come she,
oh my God,
roared
that was
like
my
a cat after?
That was my favorite quote of the night.
What we're going to do is we're saving our favorite comic moments from last night's episode, so we'll keep you on the line for that. And I'm guessing that's one of yours.
It was ridiculous. But I'm thinking that her boyfriend Ken, I'm wondering if she met him in rehab, and that whole mailbox story is just a cover-up. It just sounds
interesting. Jesse, what do you think about that?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I think that Kim met Ken when she was in rehab.
Ooh,
and I think that the mailbox story is a cover-up because it just sounded ridiculous. It sounded fake. And he's had a DUI, and apparently he, in the past, had a drinking problem. She did, too. And they connect in some way. Like, where would she meet someone like that, really?
I love that you just said that. That makes so much sense because to me, the mailbox story is like stalker. Like, what? No, now we need to have like Taylor, we need to have an intervention with Kim and say, Kim, we're releasing this. You do not date men that are standing by your mailbox. Like, no, we do not.
They live in Westlake Village, which is a planned community, and it's a wealthy community. Like, why would he just be standing around her mailbox?
Right, and maybe he was doing like lawn care or something. So somebody else, I don't know. But the point is,
well, apparently he's an investor. He's some sort of business investor. Or
right,
something.
I'm sure he is. What is he investing in? But no, I love that you said that. I totally agree with you. Actually, that makes so much sense. Watching them like putting up the San Francisco Bridge was just like, oh, I was like literally had a bucket throwing up next to myself. Yes,
that bridge on the faux stone fireplace, it looked so horrible. And then when they showed the outside of the house, it looked like the Brady Bunch house.
I wasn't even mad at that. I was just mad at how tacky they looked trying to put it up. Like, let me stand. You're not teaching her how to play golf. Like, hang the damn thing. Be the man and hang it up. Like, but they're both controlling. That's not a good relationship.
Okay, so I want to get to all the funny moments of the show. Yeah, and I want to get to Kim and to Ken and to all the funny moments of the show. But before we get into that, I just wanted to give Jackie a chance to weigh in on Adrienne and Lisa, because I know you're starting to love Lisa, so that's why I'm wondering where you fall with this one.
Well, yeah, I totally agree that Adrienne and Lisa, to me, are like the two real power women of the show. I've said this before, and of course I'm growing to be such a huge Lisa fan. But on initial reaction, I do feel that Adrienne is being a little overly sensitive, and I do think our caller said it best when it's not like she extended the offer and Lisa refused and went with Planet Hollywood. So, and I actually do agree with you, Mari, where she might be closer to the people who own Planet Hollywood. We don't know that. So I'm I do initially side with Lisa. I don't know if it's my newfound love with her, but I also do love Adrienne, so I'm really curious to see how it plays out next week. I think I'll really get my answer then. But I will give Adrienne the award for Best Cowgirl Fashion from last night.
And, Jackie, I just want to get, because you have that reality show perspective, do you think that the producers staged this drama? Because I find it hard to believe that Adrienne would be upset about something like this.
Well, yeah, that was another thing I was thinking. It almost like it just came up way too conveniently, and it fit perfectly into this piece of the package where Lisa wasn't at the party. It almost tied Lisa into the party by bringing this drama up about what Lisa was home talking about. So it very well could have been the excuse to tie Lisa to a scene that she would have had no part in otherwise.
Yeah. And now for the segment that I've been waiting for. Sorry, go on, caller.
I just wanted to say that Adrienne doesn't seem like the kind of person that would speak behind Lisa's back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, she always says it how it is. I've never seen her talk behind anyone's back in the last 2 seasons. But let's get to the segment that I have been looking forward to. I want to talk about all the funny moments from last night's show because there were so many. So let's just each go around, me, Jessie, our caller, and Jackie, and share our top 2 or 3 favorite moments. I'm going to say I'm going to go with I'm going to work my way backwards. So number 3 was Paul and Mauricio on the ball. Not only was it comedic, I just love Mauricio because he's so handsome. It was just hilarious to have Mauricio get up and just like rock it, and then Paul get up and like kind of flop around. But they're like my favorite little bromance on the show. So Paul, Mauricio, I love you both. My second favorite was my favorite she wedding planner of Beverly Hills, Kevin Lee. He made an appearance again, and obviously he was a caller in our show a couple weeks back, and hopefully we'll get him back on again soon. The whole thing with the $150 per invitation scrolls and pink boxes, and I want this and I want that, and that's my wedding. I mean, he's the bridezilla, and it was hilarious. And my sister actually informed me of this, just so all our viewers know. He does have his own reality show. It's on TLC, and it's called Brides of Beverly Hills. So for any Kevin Lee fans, you got to check that out. He's just as ridiculous on that show. And then my top number 1 moment has to be Ace Young, who, I'll give it to Kyle, I had never heard of him either, singing to Kennedy this song that he wrote that was like for his birthday, but he was sitting there, just like Brandy said. Brandy was so dead on. He's sitting there like sipping on a cocktail like, oh, Kennedy. It was so out of this world. And Dana was just loving it. You could tell she was loving it, but it was so out of this world. It was hilarious. So, Jesse, I'm dying to hear what your favorite moments were.
Just my top 2. Number 2 was definitely the Kevin scene with all the extra. When he whipped that scroll out, I was dying like you would. You really would have this extra. I want the box, Pandora's box. I was dying. He's insane. I love him. And number 1 is Arabian Horse. When she said that, I literally watched it 3 times because I was dying. I was like, this bitch did not really just say that. I could not help myself. So those were my two favorites for this episode.
And Amar?
Well, you guys stole mine. My third favorite moment, I think, was when Taylor and Lisa were all lovey-dovey so quickly, and the look on Kyle's face when she was like, are we definitely in grade school now? And the second was when Ace was singing that happy birthday song, every day's a happy birthday, and he was drunk. And my top favorite moment was the Arabian horse, when she said she's an Arabian horse but then roared like a wildcat. It was hilarious. Wow. and my partner goes, I'm a gorilla. Roof, roof.
Oh, my God.
We were all cracking up.
Well, I certainly agree with you guys in that all funny moments. I'm going to give you guys a little inside scoop on Ace Young, by the way. I was actually at the American Idol finale one year and he was there. He wasn't a contestant that season, but he was hanging around. And he hit on me, or it felt like he was hitting on me the same exact way he was talking to Taylor. I think he must just do that with all the ladies because he's kind of just like, hey, yeah, baby, how you doing? Like, it's just so funny. And so when I saw him on this episode, I was like hysterical laughing because he had the same exact demeanor when I met him. And again, him singing like that, so funny. But I do think he's talented though at the same time. So I give him that, but not at a 5-year-old's birthday party. And of course, I totally agree on the Kevin Lee appearance. I mean, Lisa with him, she can have her own show because they are just, those scenes, I would have taken those as their own show any day. Love him. I always loved Father of the Bride for that character. So of course I'm going to love any scene with Kevin Lee. And my friend actually, who runs the alistbride.com, said that everybody in the wedding industry knows him. So definitely agree there. But my favorite moment, which I can't believe none of you named, was anything with Dana in it. Her waltzing in those blue suede boots, totally not helping, totally useless. All of her silly comments, being like, I love your boots. I learned all this cowboy stuff like just last week. But, all of her silly comments throughout the episode, totally my favorite. Dana is just hysterical.
I agree, and I liked her comment about they can't even handle a dog, so why would they get a horse?
Right.
It makes total sense. But I just find that she sucks up too much.
That's what's so funny about her.
And now, before we get into our own predictions, I wanted to give our caller a last chance to share with everyone just your last thoughts on last night's episode and your own predictions for next week.
My predictions for next week. Well, I enjoyed the episode. I kind of didn't like how they wrapped up Lisa and Taylor too nicely. It did feel like kind of fake to me, like Kyle thought. I'm not liking Kyle this season, so I don't know how that's going to go. Like, I wish that she had the guts to say to Taylor's face that she had no right to be upset with Camille. Next week, I guess Lisa and Adrienne are going to go at it, and I'm hoping to see more of Randy and more of Dana, and I don't know why they're not showing as much of them as we would like.
Well, we totally agree with that. And thank you so much for calling in.
Yes, thank you.
And why don't we get you back on next week? You should call in when we actually find out what goes down with Lisa and Adrienne.
Yeah, I'm curious to know because they're the two most level-headed, and they're my favorites, and I'm curious to know how an argument between them transpires. And thank you guys so much. This is the first show I've ever called in on my whole life, so thank you very much.
Oh, you were awesome. Thank you.
Of course. Well, thank you for calling in.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Have a good night.
Well.
You too. Bye.
And so, like our caller was saying, we're definitely going to be seeing more of Lisa and Adrienne. Jesse, what do you think is going to happen with that?
I can't wait for that because, Adrienne, you pretend to have a bite, but Now, Lisa may, bend her arm backwards and step in the bear trap for Taylor because Taylor's a little mouse. But for Adrienne, she's going to laugh it off. Like, ha, honey, you could have came to me if we're such dear friends. Offer me. Come to me. Say, hey, you know what? I want to do this for your daughter. Clearly, that's what, and especially if you're telling me that these people at Planet Hollywood are family friends of hers, that's obviously what they did. They reached out and probably were smart about it, like, oh, shoot, we'll get this on the show, too. Adrienne, you clearly aren't that close with Lisa. For Lisa to even say, like, oh, I didn't even, for the spot, I didn't even know she had all this stuff. So to me, it was just something to be mad at Lisa about. I didn't like it. I think it's stupid. And I'm very interested to see how Lisa really handles it. Part of me also does think maybe she will cave in and be like, why is everyone thinking I'm this like bad person? Because of what just happened with Taylor. I'm hoping she doesn't. I hope she sticks to her guns because there's nothing wrong with it. To me, this is Adrienne who should have stepped up and, made that comment and pushed that out there. As far as Camille's concerned, Taylor is just like a little high school girl who never grew up. I feel like she was traumatized. I don't know if you guys ever heard, but they always say when someone's traumatized, whatever age you were traumatized at, that's the age that you kind of continually act as if you are. So I wonder if something happened to her in like high school or something, that she still has this personality. For her to be standing outside, she like giggled a little bit and was like, oh, I didn't know you were in there. Like, and Camille just sounded genuine, like, oh, hey, what's up? So I don't know. That's going to be very interesting to see. Hopefully Taylor squashes that really quickly, because I don't think Camille did anything out of malice. And Taylor can kind of understand where that whole situation came from. So that's what I'm hoping to see next week.
Well, I certainly am very curious to see how the Adrienne and Lisa, I'm going to call it a little mini drama, plays out, because I don't think it's going to escalate to anything huge. But they are two women who are above this kind of childish drama, so I really want to see how this plays out. I feel like it's more like the two power women kind of going at it a little bit. I have a feeling it'll be resolved pretty easily, is what I'm thinking. But I'm actually excited to see Camille finish things out with Taylor, and I'm curious to see how that goes, because I'm a huge Camille fan. She can do no wrong, whether she's being good, bad, or anything in between. And, there sounds like there's going to be a sex party, people, so guess we got to get ready for that.
I'm so glad you said that, Jackie. I was just going to say, I am excited, A, to have Brandy back, and B, to have Brandy suggesting that a porn star come over to teach them. And so I don't know what that's going to be about. But bravo, if you're listening, more Brandy, more Dana. I want to see them every episode here on out for the rest of the season. Do you guys agree?
Yes.
Totally.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me tonight, both of you. I really appreciate it. And thank you to our caller for calling in, and to all our fans for listening. And make sure to join us next week for the Lisa, Adrienne, Taylor, Camille drama and the sex party, apparently. Have a good night, everyone.
Woohoo!
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janity, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AfterBuzz TV.
Bye. See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.